We know that conflict now is being resolved more often through negotiation than through military victory. In the 1990s, there were 43 conflicts resolved by negotiation and only 22 by military victory, and that trend has continued. From 2000 to 2005, 17 conflicts were resolved by negotiation and only 4 by military victory. Yet, in this situation, we also know that the world is spending 1,995 times as much on the military as it is on the prevention of conflict. So what's being developed now is a strategy to enable the joined up building of peace worldwide. And that starts from the very local, because all our experience tells us that local people really know what's needed in a conflict. And local peace-building initiatives are springing up all over the zones of hot conflict. I've no idea why, but these local initiatives are proving extremely effective and cost-effective. So the first part of the strategy would be to find a way of providing resources for these initiatives, because at the moment most of them are completely unresourced. Secondly, the possibility is now emerging for different countries to become champions of peace. Now, in Ghana and in Kenya, both countries are adopting an infrastructure for peace. That means building peaceful society from the bottom up, with peace councils locally, peace education in schools, regional peace councils, and a national peace accord, so that people are being taught and trained at all levels of society to keep the peace, very much as they did on the model of South Africa after Mandela came out of jail and before the elections. We want to balance that with northern nations also becoming champions of peace. For example, is it possible that a country like Germany could redeploy its armed forces to the UN peacekeeping forces? This would serve many purposes in Germany, particularly as there's a lot of sensitivity about their forces being sent into combat zones. Now, if we move more to the regional level, would it not be possible to set up regional rapid response funds so that when a conflict breaks out unexpectedly, as it has done after elections in some countries, is it not possible to have funds ready to make sure that immediately, just as you would in a humanitarian crisis, those who know how to build peace in the area are able to go into action? 90% of the decision-making positions on defence, security and the building of peace are filled by men, whereas there are well-qualified women who could fill those positions. So the drive will be to move women into positions of negotiation where they can represent the largest number of casualties in war, which is women and children. And rape has become a weapon of war. If women are in those positions, they can help to build policies that will minimise this and enable the interests of women and children to be prioritised. Also, to apply their skills to negotiation and peace building. And now we come to what nations could do internationally to bring an end to war. Imagine that, actually moving towards a world without war. Now, we're all familiar with something like the Geneva Convention setting out the rules of war, but what we don't have is a convention to prevent war. In other words, one that would set out all the necessary steps that a nation has to take before a declaration of war. For example, consulting all the stakeholders in the conflict. For example, making use of civil society to quell any violence. For example, looking for all the avenues that exist, all the imaginative possibilities that there are to settle the conflict without the use of violence or force. So what is proposed is a world convention, possibly in the year 2014, because that would be 100 years since the most lethal conflict, the First World War, in terms of death, broke out. And we've lived through a century of the greatest slaughter of human beings by human beings ever. So the year 2014 would be a wonderful milestone to mark concrete steps to end the devastation of war. So all these steps are being brought together now in a combined strategy for the transformation of conflict, which will involve actors at all levels. It will involve prime ministers, diplomats, military. It will involve civil society. It will involve actors at all levels to put their weight behind this momentum that has already started to see real progress towards the end of war as a method of resolving conflict.